The story begins inside a dark tomb, lit only by a few trembling candles, surrounded by cold prison cells. Out of nowhere, a bone-chilling sound echoes through the air, and a bull-like creature with blood-red eyes grinds its teeth as if measuring its prey. And that prey is Ju-Han-soo. He is covered in blood, his body drenched in sweat, and he curses under his breath, punching the stone floor in rage. The impact cracks the slab beneath him, and his bleeding hand stains the ground, yet he feels nothing. Around him, the ghouls keep wailing, their cries as relentless as debt collectors. He drags his wounded body forward with both hands and mutters a vow filled with hatred, asking how that old man could treat him this way and swearing he cannot die like this. He lifts his head and stares toward the source of the terrifying noise. The next second, a tomb beast appears, a gigantic python with glowing red eyes and a mouth full of fangs. Its long tongue flickers as it roars, and the sight looks like death itself coming to collect. Ju-Han-soo faces it without fear and thinks this might be the day he dies at 38 years old. He remembers that everything began to go wrong 15 years ago. Back then, earthquakes shook the world and strange tombs appeared everywhere. These tombs were not ordinary but filled with treasures and magical weapons from ancient civilizations. Whoever found them gained supernatural power, and soon powerful countries and secret organizations began fighting to control the tombs. During this time, Ju-Han-soo discovered a relic that gave him the ability to locate such tombs, and he believed his life would finally change. Instead, prominent leaders monopolized the relics and created laws to control their use, leaving Ju-Han-soo no choice but to serve them. He worked for a company run by a manager named Tae-jun, who exploited his talent and formed a team to send on grave robbery missions. Ju-Han-soo stole from places guarded by police, and because of his success, Tae-jun became one of the largest antiquities collectors. People despised Ju-Han-soo for serving a dictator, but he ignored them and continued working so he could survive in a world ruled by power and artifacts. Tae-jun realized that Ju-Han-soo and his team were growing too strong and decided to remove them. He set a trap and sent them on a deadly mission. And all this led to the present, and right now, the massive python attacks, killing the entire team and tearing off Ju-Han-soo's leg. He crawls on the ground, gasping for breath, and asks how Tae-jun could betray him after everything. He grabs a stone and strikes the python, but it does nothing. He shouts that the beast has already eaten his friends and challenges it to finish him, swearing that even as a ghost he will destroy all, including that bastard Tae-jun. Just then, a sudden voice interrupts him and tells him to stop talking so much. Ju-Han-soo is startled and asks who speaks. The voice wonders if he can truly hear it, and Ju-Han-soo answers that he has heard strange voices before and demands the python be removed so he can live. The voice replies that with his weak body and missing leg, he cannot survive much longer, saying he had exceptional talent but wasted it. Ju-Han-soo grows angry and says no one knows the life he was forced to live, then curses Tae-jun again. The voice laughs, claiming admiration for his spirit and offering him a chance to seize a king's throne. Suddenly, a raven revealing itself as the owner of the voice. Ju-Han-soo closes his eyes, and when he opens them, his leg is whole and his wounds are gone. He is now standing inside a police station where an officer asks for his name and information. Confused, he wonders if this is reality or a dream. The officer complains that he will never go home if Ju-Han-soo keeps silent, and another officer mutters that no one is leaving in the year 2025. The date shocks him. He looks at the calendar on the wall and sees the 1st of January 2025. Beside him stand a boy and his mother, and he recognizes them from a memory of a drunken fight that once brought him to this station. The raven's words return to his mind, and he realizes he may have gone back 15 years. If it is truly 2025, the world is still safe, and the relics have not yet appeared. He smiles, deciding that this time he will act before anyone else, gather every future trace he remembers, and reshape everything from the beginning, fully aware that this second chance promises something far more interesting than the life he lost. The boy's mother interrupts Ju-Han-soo, shouting at him and asking if he is deaf because he sits there without answering the officer. She accuses him of beating her son while he is still a student and demands to know who will take responsibility if the boy is permanently injured. She points at him and declares that he has only two choices, either paying money, so they let him go, or end up in jail. Ju-Han-soo thinks to himself that this woman talks too much and decides he must finish this problem first before thinking about antiquities. Even though this argument happened 15 years ago in his past life, he remembers every detail clearly. He knows the boy had started the fight and had apologized at the time, yet the mother lied to squeeze money from him. He also realizes that at this point in time he has no money at all, and the tools and relics from his previous life are gone, leaving him without any way to earn. Meanwhile, the woman grows even angrier and asks how he dares ignore her, raising a pen to strike him. Ju-Han-soo blocks her hand easily and feels surprised at his own speed. He tells her to calm down and repeats that her son began the trouble and that both of them are lying, adding that people were right when they said a boy resembles his mother. The boy rushes at him, insulting him and shouting that he no longer deserves mercy. Jo-soo steps aside, grabs the boy, and knocks him to the ground. Feeling again how fast his body moves and guessing this must be a side effect of something unknown, he announces he has no money to give them and prefers to go to jail without causing more trouble. The woman asks if he is crazy to choose a criminal record over paying, and he thinks that a record means nothing because when the relics appear, the whole world will fall into chaos anyway. Later, Jo-soo sits alone in the cell and thinks he must find a job quickly to earn money. Suddenly, strange words appear in the air before his eyes, and he hits his head wondering if he is losing his mind. He realizes only relics can create such things and suspects the crow is behind it, asking aloud what it has done to him. A screen shows that the basic skills of a grave robber are 4 and that he currently possesses one, the ability to see anything within 1 meter. He stares in disbelief and asks if his life has become a game. The screen changes again and announces a new mission to reactivate the 4 core skills so he can become a true grave robber. An officer hears him talking loudly and tells him to calm down. Jo-soo understands he is the only one who can see the screens, and when he looks beside him, he observes a tiny insect in perfect detail, confirming the message is real. He remembers having this ability in the past because of relics and wonders if all his former skills have turned into this system. If the skill he has now is only 1 of 4, 3 more remain, and with them he might not even need to search for relics, though he still doubts the crow's intentions since relics never help people without reason. Soon, Detective Kim Hyung appears at the cell door and bails him out, saying he will handle the case and that Jo-soo should not worry. Jo-soo thanks him, seeing Kim as an older brother figure, and asks if there have been any reports of strange phenomena or supernatural powers. Kim laughs and asks if he has been drinking, joking that only his wife has superpowers because she always knows where he hides money. Jo-soo realizes that no relic users have appeared yet, while Kim pats him on the back, telling him to go home and rest. Jo-soo leaves the station, thinking this moment is perfect to start working and use his skills to reach his goal. He knows the valuable relics that will soon appear are mostly in Europe and America, but he has no money to travel there. On the way home, he notices 4 thugs, and one of them steps forward to confront him, asking if he plans to stay jobless and telling him to work harder for his future. Jo-soo recognizes them and feels a quiet sense of pleasure, realizing he has just found a way to get the money he needs. The man keeps talking and tells Jo-soo that he has no manners and should bow to his big brothers the moment he sees them. Jo-soo remembers this man clearly as Park Hyung-tae, a former thief who now runs a gallery with his older sister, Park Hyung-ju, and the two of them spend their lives causing trouble for others. During high school, Jo-soo needed money and worked for them for a short time, but when he tried to quit, they refused and forced him to stay until he turned 20, always threatening him and never showing any respect. Just then, the blonde boy beside Kyung-tae shouts at Jo-soo and asks why he does not answer, warning that he will get beaten if he stays silent. Before the boy finishes speaking, Jo-soo punches him and sends him to the ground, shocking everyone who watches his sudden strength. Jo-soo asks Kyung-tae why he is here and tells him to inform Park Hyung-ju that he will never work for them again, and Kyung-tae stares in disbelief and asks if he has gone crazy. Jo-soo adds that before leaving he wants the salary and severance pay they owe him, and Kyung-tae laughs and insults him, moving forward to strike. Jo-soo reacts faster and hits him in the face, grabs his head and knees him again while Kyung-tae calls for help and his men stand frozen at how quick Jo-soo has become. The remaining 2 rush in together, but Jo-soo knocks them down with only 2 strikes and thinks that 15 years of fighting experience still lives in his body, though he feels his speed has returned more than his strength and knows he must finish this now. Kyung-tae approaches again with a knife in his hand and shouts that they raised Jo-soo and made him a man, asking if this is how he repays them and swearing to beat him awake. The blonde warns Kyung-tae that the knife was meant to be sold and should not be damaged, and Jo-soo focuses on the blade and realizes it is a relic. Surprise fills him with finding such an item with someone like Kyung-tae, and he decides the knife should belong to him instead. Kyung-tae charges forward, but Jo-soo dodges easily, grabs his wrist, and turns the knife toward Kyung-tae, mocking him. Jo-soo declares he will keep the relic and show them how such things are truly used. Because of his past life experience with relics, Jo-soo easily activates the power of the knife and suddenly sees inside their bodies, and when they attack again he vanishes from sight. The men panic and wonder how he disappears, and Jo-soo understands the weapon also grants invisibility. One attacker receives a wound from the blade, and Jo-soo stands before them warning that he has not even started yet, and that if they refuse to pay the money he demanded, they will meet a side of him that will destroy them completely. Kyung-tae finally trembles and agrees to hand over the money. Back at the art gallery, Park Hyung-ju receives a call from Kyung-tae who informs her about the incident. She yells at her brother on the phone, furious that Ju Han-soo beat them and took everything, but she refuses to believe this story. Kyung-tae answers in fear that he does not know what happened, and that Ju Han-soo used to know nothing about fighting but has changed completely, even his eyes looking frightening now. She asks how much they lost, and he admits they gave all the money in the bank and the items meant for replacement. Kyung-ju interrupts and asks if he was stupid enough to hand over the Buddha statue as well. A flashback shows how Ju Han-soo searched their pockets and counted the cash. He asked if this was really everything they had, and they swore there was nothing more. He warned that if he found anything else, he would not leave a single bone intact, and they nervously took out the Buddha statue and offered it to him. Ju Han-soo looked at it and said it appeared too expensive, then decided to take it, ignoring the begging of Kyung-tae to return the piece and walking away without looking back. Kyung-tae narrates all this to his sister, and after hearing everything, Park Kyung-ju curses and promises that they will get the statue back no matter what. Ju Han-soo goes to sell the statue, but the shopkeeper tells him the piece is not worth even 50,000 and is only a decoration item. Ju Han-soo feels astonished, and the shopkeeper insists no one will ever buy it from him. Ju Han-soo wonders why Park Kyung-tae acted as if the statue was worth millions, and walks down the street holding it, thinking maybe only he sees it as valuable. Because he has no antiquities of his own yet, he does not know how to judge the true worth of such items. Suddenly, a screen appears before his eyes, warning that something strange hides inside the statue. Ju Han-soo realizes his suspicion is correct, and says it makes no sense for Park Kyung-tae to cling to something so worthless, deciding to check what lies inside. He throws the statue into the air and breaks it with the dagger, and from the shattered pieces a small bottle rolls out. Ju Han-soo grabs it and understands at once that it contains drugs mixed for cigarettes and drinks, something extremely expensive, proving that Park Kyung-tae and Park Kyung-ju are involved in this trade. He thinks their business must mix drugs and artifacts in many similar items, and calls Detective Kim Hyung to confirm whether the reward for reporting drug trafficking is truly 100 million. Back at the gallery, Park Kyung-ju talks on the phone with a client and insists the delay has nothing to do with the goods, claiming she only takes precautions because someone might be watching them. The man on the line yells at her, and she apologizes, promising to call back soon, then mutters that the idiot must think she is trying to cheat him. She turns and sees Park Kyung-tae standing painfully with two others and asks if he brought the statue back. Before he answers, Detective Kim Hyung shows his identification and informs her that a report accuses them of smuggling and distributing drugs. Park Kyung-ju becomes nervous and denies everything, claiming they only deal with antiques and respect the law. Detective Kim Hyung pulls out the bottle and says all criminals speak the same when caught, adding that this is proof and that many more must be in the storage rooms. She grits her teeth and worries secretly about how anyone could know of the other warehouse, yet feels confident because all rooms are locked with passwords. She tells the detective not to accuse her without solid evidence, and says being an investigator gives no right to interfere with their work. Detective Kim Hyung lifts the transmitter in his hand, and a voice reports that inspectors have found 600 artifacts in the warehouse, all filled with drugs. Officers handcuff Park Kyung-ju, and she screams in shock, asking how they opened the rooms protected by passwords. The detective laughs and answers that they have their own methods too. It turns out that Ju Han-soo has helped the police with this raid. A little while back, he guided the inspectors to the storage site of Park Kyung-ju. There, an inspector noticed one room still closed, and Ju Han-soo stepped forward and opened it. They asked how he knew the code, and he replied that he simply had a good memory. He recalled that this memory was one of his few talents, and the reason Park Kyung-ju had used him for years when he worked in the warehouse, making him memorize every password without expecting it would matter one day. The inspector entered and found a huge number of drugs, and Ju Han-soo felt pleased, knowing he would soon collect antiquities of his own. In present, the inspector thanks Ju Han-soo for helping the government, and Ju Han-soo says he is glad to assist and asks to speak with Detective Kim Hyung. The officers call the detective, who allows him to talk to Park Kyung-ju. Ju Han-soo tells her she should have treated him better and at least paid him properly, and she recognizes his voice and demands to know if all this is his doing. He answers sarcastically that she should have changed her passwords every 6 months and tells her to enjoy prison. She screams in rage that she will kill him and asks if this is truly her end. Ju Han-soo heads home, and on the way he receives a message from Detective Kim Hyung informing him the 100 million will arrive soon and advising him not to waste it on foolish things. Ju Han-soo thinks the detective worries about him, but from now on, there will be no need because he finally has the money to search for relics before Taejun reaches them. When he arrives at his neighborhood, he sees the houses buried in dirt and suspects the monuments have already begun their work. People are standing around shouting at each other while a soldier in the center is trying to calm them. Ju Han-soo walks away from the crowd and feels no surprise at their fear because anyone would react this way after such an event. He remembers the same moment from his previous life when he worked for Park Kyung-ju, and his roommate called to say their house had vanished. At that time, he could do nothing because he was trapped in servitude, and when he finally returned home, the building stood untouched. From that day, he understood that someone nearby planned to seize the artifacts, and that he must never allow others to take what should belong to him. Just then, he hears a voice suddenly crying out, begging not to be burned, and Ju Han-soo looks up to see his roommate trembling in fear. A soldier has pointed a gun at the man and is shouting for him to stay still and stop asking questions. Ju Han-soo steps forward and knocks the soldier down with a kick, demanding to know how he dares aim a weapon at civilians. The soldier stares in shock and quickly apologizes, and Ju Han-soo asks why the army handles the situation instead of the police. He says he is sensing something strange behind the scene. Ju Han-soo decides to test the soldier and asks whether they plan to enter the tombs, but the soldier answers that the matter is classified. Ju Han-soo worries the government might already compete with him for the relics and wonders if they know the truth about the tombs. He insists that as a resident of Korea, he has the right to know why the army gathers here with so many weapons, and warns the soldier that raising a gun at a civilian can be reported. The soldier finally explains they are here to examine the structure and check what lies inside, adding that they secured the area and even invited foreign experts to handle everything safely. Ju Han-soo thinks they may intend to blow up the shrine because no ordinary method can open it. Anyhow, he thanks the soldier and returns to his roommate, who asks what the conversation was about. Ju Han-soo tells him it was nothing and then walks away without turning back. Meanwhile, further down the road, Linda Walker, a CIA agent, is speaking on the phone and asks again if the Korean government truly knows nothing about the tombs. The man on the line confirms it and wonders why she keeps asking, and she replies that too many soldiers have gathered for ignorance to be believable. He asks about the mission, and she answers that the explosions will begin soon and everything is proceeding smoothly. He orders her to focus on finding the relic and securing it. Just then, a man named Abe Kiyoshi from the Japanese team approaches Linda and teases her for looking surprised, saying he should be here instead of an American so far from home. He accuses her country of being skilled at stealing and claims Japan also deserves the relics. Linda answers that they collect antiquities for an international organization to keep peace and conduct safety experiments. Abe Kiyoshi laughs and says such excuses only allow them to take treasures under the name of research, promising that the effect of this tomb will belong to him. She challenges him calmly to prove his confidence. Meanwhile, Ju Han-soo is hiding behind a wall and listening to their exchange, thinking how many nations once feared the tombs as curses yet now chase their power. He knows America and Japan conduct secret studies and smuggle relics from other countries, and he swears he will never let these people steal what belongs to him. He wonders why they delay action and remembers they must first observe the weather before attempting to break the shrine. He walks around the tomb and notices strange markings on the ground and recognizes them as tomb glyphs, the symbols through which monuments reveal themselves like characters in a story. Anyone able to decipher these glyphs can learn every secret of the tomb. Ju Han-soo studies the patterns carefully and locates the hidden entrance. Just then, a screen appears before him, announcing that he has gained the skill of Exceptional Symbol Analyzer, F level, giving him the ability to learn and speak any language from now on and even communicate with relics. He feels a surge of joy at this progress and thinks that only 2 skills remain to be awakened. He walks toward the shrine entrance, grips the knife he took from Park Kyung-tae, and strikes the pillar with all his strength. Just then, a powerful light bursts from the tomb glyph on the pillar, and another screen appears warning Ju Han-soo that a dangerous aura approaches. The ground suddenly explodes, and a fierce beam shoots into the sky. Linda Walker and Abe Kiyoshi see the light, and recognize it comes from the shrine gate. Abe Kiyoshi rushes toward the soldiers and orders them not to move, saying another explosion may happen and they must not allow any creature to chase them. Linda Walker runs after him and calls him a liar, and he answers that if the soldiers interfere, their work will become impossible. They reach the new hole in the earth, and Linda Walker throws a stone inside and realizes the depth is great. Abe Kiyoshi hears water flowing below and jumps in without hesitation. By that time, Ju Han-soo already stands at the bottom and hears their movements, understanding they follow him. He decides to distract them and prepare a trap before they arrive. Linda Walker climbs down after Abe Kiyoshi and keeps scolding him for poor planning. A strange sound echoes toward them, and when they shine their flashlight, they see a surge of water rushing closer. They try to escape, but the current drags them along. Meanwhile, Ju Han-soo reaches the pond-like center of the tomb. He pulls out his knife and regrets that he has only one, yet he throws it into the water. The next second, a violent whirlpool forms, and from it rises a terrifying snake that asks who has dropped the item. The creature then opens its mouth and reveals 2 knives, one golden and one silver, asking Ju Han-soo which belongs to him. Before answering, Ju-Han-soo recalls that this relic is known as the Axes of Gold and Silver, a tale from ancient mythology famous across many countries. He realizes Linda Walker and Abe Kiyoshi could pass this test easily if they were not late, but he intends to claim the relic himself. Ju-Han-soo says that neither blade belongs to him. The snake seems impressed, then slips back into the pool and rises again, opening its mouth to reveal Ju-Han-soo's actual knife, and asks if this one is his. Ju-Han-soo knows that anyone who answers carelessly will receive a counterfeit and lose the true relic, so he asks to examine the knife first. The snake agrees, and Ju-Han-soo reaches across its tongue, grabs the blade, and suddenly drives it into the snake's mouth. The creature screams and asks why he ruins a test he nearly passed. Ju-Han-soo tells it calmly that he never trusts relics and questions how anyone can be sure of receiving something genuine instead of madness. The snake shows shock that he understands so much, and Ju-Han-soo remembers how owners of the gold and silver axes turned into serial killers, and how many victims died because of this relic. He accuses the serpent of planning to hand him a cursed fake and says he detected the trick in time. Ju-Han-soo continues to stab the snake and declares it must pay for its actions. The snake warns him that he will never obtain the relic this way. Ju-Han-soo remembers that normally a person must survive all traps and pass the test to receive a relic, and only then can a bond form granting abilities. He also knows that relics are born to hate humans, and that such bonds bring illness, while empowering healers, a truth Taejun once exploited. Ju-Han-soo pushes the knife deeper and declares that he does not want any cursed connection, but he promises that he will make the relic submit to his will instead. He will bend the relic to his control rather than become its servant. The snake struggles to push Ju-Han-soo away and shouts at him to let go, but Ju-Han-soo laughs and asks if the pain is finally reaching it, promising to see how long it can endure. He remembers that using relics requires natural talent because without enough ability, the relic will control the user instead. Researchers divide talent into 3 types. The first being social talent, that allows easy communication with relics. The second, dominance, that forces a relic to obey the user's will. And the third, compatibility, that creates deep mutual understanding. Most people prefer social talent because it feels simple, yet this choice spreads toxic energy and brings sickness to the owner. Ju-Han-soo tells the snake he refuses to rely on social talent and will instead make it surrender through dominance, warning he will tear it apart if it resists. The snake answers in disbelief that it thought humans desired relics, but Ju-Han-soo continues his attack until the creature finally dies. To his surprise, the golden axe appears before him, and a screen announces he has unlocked the title and skill of Shrine Prospector level F. Joy fills him as he realizes only one more skill remains to complete the set, but another message labels him a trace abuser, meaning he possesses strong dominance talent but weak social talent. Ju-Han-soo feels stunned and calls out to the Raven, asking how all his effort earned such a title. He decides the lack of social talent does not matter because he never plans to use it. At that moment, a voice echoes nearby claiming they have finally found the place, and Linda Walker and Abe Kiyoshi appear, saying this matches the prophecy. Ju-Han-soo hides. Abe Kiyoshi throws an empty bottle into the water, and Linda Walker asks what he is doing. Meanwhile, Ju-Han-soo watches them and thinks they will surely interfere. He glances at the screen showing that the knife has lost more than half its power and laughs, wondering if it is already used up. Abe Kiyoshi grows angry when nothing happens and deduces that the relic is missing. He tells Linda Walker that their prophecy said a relic must appear here, but it is not happening. He concludes someone else already knows about the tombs and graves and must have taken the relic before them. Linda Walker agrees and notices footprints on the ground, confirming that an intruder has been here. Just then, Ju-Han-soo drops a stone to startle them and considers collapsing the tomb so they cannot escape. He commands the golden axe to bring the shrine down, and the ground begins to shake violently. Linda Walker shouts to Abe Kiyoshi to run for the gate, and the two panic while Ju-Han-soo slips away through another path. He remembers that in his previous life, the dirt covering his apartment disappeared suddenly when the tomb was conquered and people who feared at first eventually returned home. Once outside, he meets his roommate standing on the street looking confused, and the roommate tells him the huge hill that buried the house has vanished. Ju-Han-soo answers calmly that they should go inside because he is starving, but the roommate asks in surprise whether it is truly safe. Elsewhere, Abe Kiyoshi talks on the phone in anger, demanding to know why he was not told about the prophecy, stating a Korean would seize the relic first. The man on the line admits they learned too late and asks if he understands the nature of the relic user. Abe Kiyoshi complains that the researchers must have failed again to read the tomb glyphs correctly, and the caller excuses them as inexperienced, while promising the mistake will not repeat. He warns that the person who claimed the relic is extraordinary, and that the prophecy suggests this individual may one day rule the world. Meanwhile, back in his home, Ju-Han-soo sits in front of the computer, drinking and thinking how useful the new language skill is because it allows him to search information from every country, though he finds little of value. He knows his own name has no trace in records, so he searches for Taejun to learn his plans, yet discovers nothing about the company. His roommate approaches behind him and asks whether he can really read all those languages, and Ju-Han-soo answers confidently before asking if the roommate has heard anything about Taejun and his business. The roommate says he knows nothing and wonders why Ju-Han-soo cares about such a powerful manager. Ju-Han-soo explains he wants information about Taejun personally, and the roommate asks whether this is for work and what benefit it could bring, adding that a man like Taejun would never meet a minor employee. Ju-Han-soo replies he has already quit, and the roommate questions why he left, but Ju-Han-soo stays focused on his research instead of answering. Suddenly, he finds an article stating Taejun has opened an art gallery in Hwaseong's, and he decides this will be the path to learn more about the man he intends to confront. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the recap, make sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Signing off.